Oh, it's a lovely day to make a great find. It's a lovely day to blow my mind. How about yours? How about yours? Would you love to have one? Hello, this is Springfield Johnny, aka John Gregory Presco, and I'm doing an oral book review of And So It Goes by Charles J. Shields. And we were having a chit chat on his Facebook, and all of a sudden he unfriended me and wiped out all my 20 posts or so on Lucia Joyce and how you'd write her biography. And she's the daughter of James Joyce, who wrote Finnegan's Wake, which nobody can read. And I understand why nobody can read this, because I understand the kind of mind that wrote it. And basically, James Joyce got a train. He found the train, and he went with that train. He says, I got something here. I got something in Irish limericks or something, Old English, the way people told riddles, played with English language, So he got on that train. There's no stopping him, The conductor says, Jimmy boy, you left everybody behind. Wait, they didn't even get on the train. I don't care. Bring me some more coal, lad. More coal into the engine, You know. 6 years down the line, break up the seats. Fuel, I need fuel, By the time he dies, he pulls in the station, he's burned all the cars, The passengers have forgotten him, But not the boys down at the BIO, huh? They're no crispy. Who will do, James Joyce? Who will do, Lucia Joyce? R4, get in there, huh? So we were talking all about that. And this is Robert Graves' The White Goddess. And I've been reading this for 15 years. My friend Casey Farrell turned me on to this book. And we studied together, and he's eccentric. He actually taught me how to expand my mind even bigger than it was expanded. Him and I would have contests to see how much information we can throw at each other and how much we can contain, like blowing up a balloon and then, throwing it at each other. So we've been doing that on the phone for several years. And he said something brilliant. And it's real key to a lot of the history that we're experiencing, especially us people in the West. He said, nobody dies in the Bible. I was supposed to say, what? Nobody dies in the Bible? And he was adding water to instant coffee, and I just went, whoosh. My brain went, and I got a big cup of coffee off it. We knew all the symbols of Starbucks, the mermaid, the star, because a lot of it's in here. See, this is what Robert Graves did, the poet laureate. He wrote this questionable, it's flawed, okay? It's a flawed book, but he went with it, just like Joyce went with his Finnegan's Wake. You can't stop people. Once they get onto something, the real writers, once they get onto something, everything is, just for the mill. You just can't stop them till they're done. So, when Casey said that no one dies in the Bible, all of a sudden it was the Rosetta Stone. Because I was puzzled about why David was going and killing these people, the Jebusites, the Amorites. He was just committing genocide, Saul's son says, "You bloody, bloody man." Well, David's, fiction, biblical scholars have not been able to find any real history on King David because he's the hitman, you know. He's the Terminator, you know. He's that guy from Last Man, you know, Standing, you know. Not a country for old men. That's him, you know. That you know, he's grown, puts the air compressor and kills the cattle, you know. And that's what God's doing. Well, God's not doing it. It's that this book is so long that, you know, it's been around for, by the time it got written, it had been around for, you know, 1,200 years. And certain people's got to be in control of it. And, you know, then they'd lose control. Another group would get a hold of it, you know. And then they get their scribes out and start writing other people out of the book. You know, and write themselves. And this is, well, you know, they literally wipe out whole tribes and stuff for key reasons, because these people have become important in this 1,200-year history, you know. And before you could go ahead with your own ideas, you know, you had to wipe out some people, you know. Oh, the Amorites had nothing to do with the Bible. Remember, David killed them off, and God said, kill their sheep and rape their women and don't leave anything alive, you know. So we have a sample of that, you know, with Charles Shields and the BIO, you know, jettisoning me, you know, in front of this group of writers, you know, the Sanhedrin, you know, I brought before the Sanhedrin, you know. Pilate has found no fault in me, but the BIO has, you know, especially the head of the BIO, Charles Shields, you know. Flush me out. Unfriend him! You're out. You're out of You are gone from our history. I've wiped out your history, John Presco, Greg Presco. Just like that. I pushed a button, you know. But he lives. He's back. Here's Johnny. Yeah. So I've come to, you know, I've not come to bury Vonnegut. I've come to bring him back from the dead, you know. I've raised him like Lazarus, you know. And you're not getting Lucia Joyce, you hear me? She's mine. Because I can do Finnegan's Wake. Not only can I interpret it for you, I can write Finnegan's Wake 3. See, the BIO can't go there. See, they're academics, you know. They're academic barracudas. You know, they're all designed to function, you know. Okay, A+, that's a good grade on that one, you know. Yes, you are conforming with the school of barracuda, see. You know, and they all agree to be a school and stick together, you know, and hunt together and stay together, you know, when the enemies come to eat them. I mean, like reality, you know. So what Shields did in the reviews that I've read, and this is where he kills off all of the beatniks and hippies, the whole counterculture, the writers, you know, because he hates them. He's probably a Tea Party guy, you know. He's probably, you know, right-wing guy, you know, that drives a BMW, you know. He's got money, you know, but you know, he doesn't hang with beats and acid heads and burnout freaks, you know. You know, he hangs out with other barracuda, see. You know, they go to their special little places and for coffee in New York and stuff, you know. And so when I came onto his friend page, you know, it was like, you know, his arch enemy, Rosario's here, you know. You know what? Watch me finish this guy off. You know? You know? And he was having some fun, you know, ridiculing me and mocking me, you know, and stuff, you know. And all of a sudden, you know, I'm a puff fish. I go, you know, it explodes, you know. You know, abort, abort, you know. So he has Vonnegut going to meet with Grace Slick in the Jefferson Airplane. And he wore a three-piece suit. You could tell how that went, there's Grace Slick in her purple glasses, her tie-dye, and Paisley swimming around her head, Miss, Lucy in the sky, the white rabbit, blah, blah, blah. Kurt Vonnegut doesn't fucking have a clue who he is, because he's been, down in the coal mines. Down there, where Jack Purvis and his sons worked in England, Doncaster, and Jack Purvis, wanted his sons to grow up to be coal miners, so he brought them to Canada and America. And when I met him, I was, 18, 19, and Jack tried on his limericks. The guy knew Old English, he knew Welsh and Irish limericks, he knew how to talk the riddles, Hey, that's the music charms, lad, Robert Graves admired that, and so did James Joyce. So there's Kurt. Like I say, you didn't know who he is because that's what he does. When you're a writer, you just get up, and get into your little miniature submarine, and you dive into this murky water, and there's no reference points. Rice did this, pointed this out. So, and then when you come back to reality, well, reality, for most people, it's just a little tiny box of, I wonder what people think of me, and I'm only guessing at what reality is. And that's the little kind of confines. The BIO is basically, a version of that. They've got a mind like Graves and stuff, and and their job is to come into that mindless, free-thinking, LSD, floating, Paisley, mass of conception. See, and they got to, come in there with their sanity meter, and just kind of, success. We have done Lucia Joyce. She's take her to the trophy room. Put her in the freeze-dried ice. She's now one with us. The locust people. So Charles dismisses the Jefferson Airplane's attempt to incorporate the amazing work of Vonnegut. He said, they couldn't hang together. The meeting went badly. They rubbed each other the wrong way. He couldn't wait to get out the door. And I believe that. I believe that because I know back in 1971 when this meeting took place, that the Jefferson Airplane thought that they had come to Valhalla. They thought they were up there, with the Greek gods and the Pantheon, and they were. Everybody was writing about them. Every magazine wrote an article on them. There was nothing else going on. Nixon, I think, had resigned. They were about ready to impeach him. And what there were these massive concerts, rock and roll concerts held in stadiums all over America and the world. And people were, paying, small fortune to go to sit in an arena with 100,000 people, listening to White Rabbit, when he's 10 feet tall, and so they're getting all this money along with all these other rock stars, and so they want literary credentials. They want to be, they want the BIO people to come and enshrine their history in a way, but they don't. The BIO people aren't even invented yet, so they hit on Kurt Vonnegut. This poor man, And so he goes there to meet them, and what they're trying to basically, I can actually see the room, maybe I'll go to a trance and literally go back in time, and we'll go into that room. But they're trying, they're trying to tell them that, they're gods, and he's not. They really like his writing, and he can go into their minds, and their acid soaked hallucinations, and take out the good stuff. See, and turn it into a literary book that'll change the world, because that's what they wanted to do at that time. They felt that all this rock and roll, energy, stadium, mass mind stuff could really change the world. Why not? Give it a shot. So he didn't quite get that. He didn't quite understand, well, how am I supposed to get into your mind and then translate your unspoken hallucinations into a book? And he didn't like the answer. Well, you ever tripped on LSD? You want to trip with us? Well, unfortunately, his son took LSD and had a psychotic breakdown, and I'd read the article about that in Playboy, and it's one of the most heartbreaking, eloquent things I've ever read. And so I wonder if that was the reason why Charles evicted me, because he knew what happened to Vonnegut's son. See, but I started speaking out against these drugs, like I say, in '67, and looking to do the impossible. How to save this whole generation, this whole counterculture generation. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. This all has to do with recovery and the 12 steps. You don't kill yourself. You don't kill off your history. It's your history. It's an important part of your recovery, remaining sober, that you talk about this history. So. It was disappointing when I brought up the idea about making Finnegan's Wake the Broadway musical, because I thought that they could get around that, and this would be a wonderful challenge for the BIO to say, wait a minute, I see where Greg Presco's going with this. It has to go there. Finnegan's Wake has to be brought into the counterculture generation, because we're the ones that read Finnegan's Wake. Like we're the ones that made J.R. Tolkien famous. He didn't want anything to do with us. But who's reading these books? And see, the BIO was concerned about that. See, no one's reading biographies anymore. So we gotta, become the school of barracudas and go out there and feed off the dead, and bring them back to life, for the sake of biographies. And boy, when you run over someone like me to do that, you're in trouble, because I ain't dead yet. See. And I'm almost at a loss for words here. Oh yeah, Finnegan's Wake being a Broadway musical. Well, I talked with Charles and presented it in front of the BIO. I didn't know at the time that I had sent an idea off to my friend Jeff Pasternak, whose father was Joseph Pasternak, the movie director who wrote stories, and to go into musicals, that were showed in Hollywood. He did a couple movies with Elvis Presley, Moby Grape, and so he was going into the counterculture. He didn't take drugs, but he was a movie maker, a Jew from Germany, and well, he was exploiting the counterculture, because its history and influence permeated all aspects of American history, and no one's willing to say that. No one's willing to write about that. So I was telling my friend Marilyn about Shields, jettisoning me from his Facebook, and he said, that's funny, because I brought up this Lucia thing. And she says, it's really funny. A couple of days ago, Jeff called me up, and he's working on this play, and he's having trouble with his female character, which is sort of the heroine, because he wants her to go through a cathartic spiritual experience, and he can't think of anything to do that. Well, slip her some LSD in her coffee, idiot. Well, that's not what I recommend to anybody. I'm pretty much anti-LSD. So, but there it is. He's looking for Lucia Joyce. Somehow Lucia Joyce has come into his play, and he's a musician. So, I sent him this idea about doing this whole thing on love, doing this big musical, the music of love. And he knew Brian McLean in high school, and all of a sudden, Marilyn's telling me at the granary where I read my poems on Monday that Jeff is stuck. I said, that's Lucia. She's here. On Charles Shields' Facebook, I made her come alive in front of all these writers, and they're, how do I say it, jealous of me, because I found the solution. I went with it. I took a chance. I stuck my neck out. I didn't swim with the barracudas. See, I'm in that group. I'm in with Joyce and Vonnegut. These great free thinkers and bohemians that just kind of break off from the school and go into their own direction and go into realms and universes that no one's bothered to look for, and they find them. They work with them. These aren't historians. These people are not making history. They're writers. They're making literature. They're doing all the work. And for the worker locust, the BIO, to come along and say, well, we've worked, we're workers, we're academics, and we have a right to go into the minds of the dead artists and writers and just extract what we need from them. The pound of flesh that they curse feeds them. How dare they pretend that they are sane and what they do is sane? No mas, no more. I'm going to be a guardian and a watchful. I'm going to keep my eye on the BIO. Bio. I'm watching you. Have a good day.